Carnarvon is the hub of the entire Gascoyne region. It's 904 kilometres north of Perth along the northwest coastal highway, or it's just 2 hours by plane. It's situated just south of the Tropic of Capricorn and is well known amongst Wes Aussies for its fantastic fishing, dozens of banana and mango plantations, and its moderate tropical climate. The locals enjoy an average 26 degrees temperature. Carnarvon was first settled in 1883 on the back of a burgeoning pastoral industry. It was named after Lord Carnarvon, then the British Secretary of State for the Colonies. Fishing is almost as synonymous with Carnarvon as bananas. Either from the 1 mile jetty, or out to sea, or from the beach, anglers are well catered for. The 1 mile jetty is the longest jetty in the northwest. It was built in 1897, and the 1 mile jetty was used as deep sea port to ship produce to and from Perth until 1984. It was the first port in WA, and probably the world, to regularly export livestock. Fire damaged the jetty in 1988. That is now been restored and is under constant restoration. It's a long walk out to the end and back, but if you don't want to do that, then jump on the little train, the coffee pot. And as you go out, take in the wildlife around the river mouth and the mangrove ecosystem. The Railway Museum is home to the restored Kimberley steam train and a tribute to the region's shearer and pastoral industry. The precinct is also the final resting place for a lifeboat from the German raider Cormorant that sent the HMAS Sydney to the bottom during World War II, renowned as Australia's worst naval disaster. If we stand on top of the water tower that is in the heritage listed precinct, we can start to sweep around and have a look at the mouth of the Gascoyne River. And then as we swing around further, we come across the National Trust listed Lighthouse Keeper's Cottage Museum, which has been restored to display the lives of the pioneering families who looked after the lighthouse. The Keeper's house was used until the 1970s when an electric light was installed. The light itself originally beamed out its warning from a wooden frame tower, but that was replaced in 1962 by the steel structure that is visible today. The Gascoyne River runs for only about 120 days average per year. It's often dry on the surface. It generally only flows after heavy rains inland, and the catchment area extends some 600 kilometres inland. It provides underground basins of water half to 50 metres under the ground, and that water is essential for the horticultural industry in the region. These wooden barrages have been built along the mouth of the Gascoyne River to slow the flow of water in the river and to help prevent erosion of the river banks. Chinamans Pool is a permanent water hole in the Gascoyne River and is located right in the town of Carnarvon. It's a lovely spot for picnics. It was originally a watering hole for the township. The area is suitable for swimming, especially after the river has been flowing. There are also many varieties of birds which can be observed during the year, and the best time for viewing the bird life is early in the morning or the evening. Well, this is, believe it or not, the middle of the Gascoyne River, and we're still in town. If I turn around, there's the beginning of the Chinamans Pool section of the river, and it's got tons of water in it. The mild climate and pest-free status of the area result in top quality fruit and veg production in the area. There's over 180 plantations in the Gascoyne region, and it produces more than half of WA's banana crops. Also produced are table grapes, there's mangoes, pawpaws, and seemingly there's an unlimited variety of vegetables grown in the area. A major landmark in the town, the OTC dish base on Browns Range, was Australia's first Earth station for satellite tracking and communications, and it's just one of 8 in the world. It was established by NASA in 1966, and the facility was involved with both the Apollo and Gemini space missions. It broadcast Australia's first satellite TV broadcast and helped track Halley's Comet in 1986 before being closed in 1987. Just 71 kilometres north of Carnarvon, the blowholes are the result of waves being forced through undersea caves and upwards through small outlets in the reefs that hug the shore. The resulting jets of water can spray up to 20 metres in the air with an eerie whooshing sound and are nothing short of spectacular. Just south of the blowholes is a sheltered reef and a swimming beach and a beachside camping spot. The Gascoyne River is predominantly a dry river. Well, the river runs underground. Rocky Pool, just over 60 kilometres outside of Carnarvon, is one of the few permanent watered parts of the river. It's a very popular camping spot. The locals come out here. Very nice. People come and camp out here. Now we've managed to catch the road just after the graders have been through. That's looking back towards Carnarvon. But then there are people who obviously have too much to do with their time. Main street of Gascoyne Junction, and we have a few pedestrians on the road. Gascoyne Junction is just 2 hours inland from Carnarvon. It's not a big town. It was first proposed as a town site in 1897, and it's the junction of where the Gascoyne River and Lyons Rivers actually meet. It's a centre for mining and pastoral industries. It's a great base to experience the bush camping, hiking, wildlife viewing, sightseeing, photography or picnicking the area has to offer. It's also just down the road from the Kennedy Ranges, and it's the gateway to Mount Augustus. The Gascoyne River is predominantly an underground river. However, there are patches of it where it is filled with water. Now this is just east of the town. It's a picnic area, and it is really a very beautiful spot. Cemeteries generally tell some sort of tale, but the interesting thing here is there's only 3 internees in the Gascoyne Junction Cemetery. 2 died in 1984 and 1 in 1986. cemetery itself is laid out, ready to take more people who pass on. But it's interesting that it's been 21 years to this point in time since the last person appears to have been buried in this cemetery. And of course the main hub of the area, the pub. It's got a number of dongers at the back for mine workers and road workers, caravan facilities, and there's a caravan park just over the road also, which is a council run park, I believe. It's Monday morning and we have moved about 5 kilometres in off the main road, and we're going to travel up the western side of the Kennedy Ranges. We're going to go up and have a look at Mooka Springs and a little bit further hopefully, and it is all four-wheel drive. We're about to cross the Gascoyne River. Track is really a bit like driving through parkland, but there are a lot of little rivers and streams that feed into the Gascoyne, so I dare say we'll be crossing through quite a number of these gullies as we go as well. Just before you get to Mooka Springs, there's a Mookarite mine, and there are a number of leases on it. This one's being run by Glenn, and he's here with his daughters Kelsey and Steph. He's bringing the pieces over in the and then later, and then the Mookarite, as they pick, is being then loaded into the bags. They then send it away to China where it's processed, and then they go to places like America and to do the selling and the marketing.
We need your beavers to come back with you next time. I like it.
First thing that you see when you come to Mooka Springs is this little shack. To discourage you from opening the fridge. As we take a walk further away from the shack area, you are walking along a ridge. Well, it's a ridge if you're walking along the top. Along the bottom, it's a sort of breakaway, and it's really quite something to look at. Won't have a barbecue. Something nice and reliable, a metal stove. Little water trough fashioned here. Got a gully up through the hills. Water obviously flows down and it flows back in towards the belt of trees there. Hasn't been any water flowing for a while because the water that's there is stagnant. Just wondering what's been here. There have been palm trees here which have been cut down, but there is one still standing, and that's in amongst that group of trees just there. Looks like some sort of cattle race. Yeah, what stories could this place tell, maybe? The eastern side of the Kennedy Ranges is renowned for its cliffs and the beauty that they exude. This is the Kennedy Ranges from the western side. Very different, I would think. After travelling along a fairly rough track for an hour or two or three, you suddenly come to this beautiful little cleared area. And there's a track leads in to what is known as Brushcutter Springs. If we turn around, it's just down the bottom there. Great little camping area. This is on the western side of the Kennedy Range. So we've come out here to have lunch. Meanwhile, there's already a couple of people out here who have set up and are camping in the area. Delightful. Spring obviously runs out the hill and just runs down along the bottom of the campsites. Roaming along on top of the hill, herd of goats. And this is probably the best view that we've had so far of the western side of what the Kennedys look like. They're travelling just a couple of kilometres further north, we're on station country, and we're now starting to find a few cattle amongst all of the kangaroos and things we've been seeing so far. So it's about 5 kilometres now north of Brushcutter Springs, or Kangaroo Springs as it's also called, and we've come to an open clearing, and this is a good look at this side of what the Kennedy Ranges look like. We've decided now to turn around and start heading back. Now we had a look at the Kennedys on the way in, and this is a view on the way out. And of course the advantage of going back the way you came is that you get to see the other side of it. And you tend to get one view when you go one way. You're going to have a picnic, where are you going to do it? Might as well do it on the side of the hill. There are goats. Would you believe it? Problem in these parts are feral cats. Coming in, we had a fairly steep climb up onto a plateau. Just coming back, you get to see the view from the other direction. It looks like you're looking down onto a park down there. Kay intrepidly stalking a wedge-tailed eagle. This bloke's cheeky. Most eagles fly away from the food when a vehicle or someone comes close, but we drove past him this morning, everything else left, he didn't, he stayed there. This bloke is really tucking in, he's having a good feed. Standing on the thing, ripping it to pieces. Bloke here doesn't think we can see him, but he's hidden in the dark. It's time for us to move on, and we're going to head up to the Kennedy Ranges, 48 kilometres from here. The road is good, it's wide, just past a cattle truck, a bit of dust, but tons of room, and the quality of the road's not bad at the moment, but it has just been freshly graded. And right ahead of us are the Kennedy Ranges. Some 40 kilometres away. Now it's worth taking notice of signs you see on the side of the road. We saw this cobbled road and part of the wool wagon way, and then we suddenly realised there was a cobbled road here. There it is. This is what the wool wagons used to come down. The road was cobbled in the 1920s, and the people who did it were paid 2 cents a kilometre. At the time, nearly all the freight that was being carried around was being done by camels. Then came the trucks, and the cameleers saw that it was going to be a problem as far as their business was concerned, and so they made the roads as impassable as they possibly could. The truck drivers, they responded by doing the road. Now one of those truck drivers was a guy called Charles Kingsford Smith, who went on to become a famous aviator. We're still something like 20 odd k away from being able to get into the Kennedy Ranges. Looking from this distance, this is the sheer just the cliff face of the eastern side of the Kennedy Ranges. The Gascoyne River is fed by a lot of creeks, and there's other rivers involved. The major river that runs into the Gascoyne is the Lyons River, and it runs alongside the Kennedy Range. The river looking south and north. And in the northern part of it, there is patches of water. is one of the patches on the Lyons River which has got water in it. And up the other end there's cattle grazing around near the water, and there's also some water birds there as well. Bank of the Lyons is a nice little place to set up camp as well. Okay, we've reached the turn off for the Kennedy Range, and in we go. And there's our first look at what we're heading for. As you approach the ranges, the eastern side, the awesome nature of the cliff faces presents itself. Very different to the western side. You pull up at the information bay, and immediately in front of you is this sandstone range. It continues for about 75 kilometres north of here. It slopes towards the back. It's between 15 and 25 kilometres in width. This is the view straight up Temple Gorge. We believe it's about 2 kilometres to walk, about 2 hours if we can achieve it all. Class 3 and Class 4 walk. Class 3 is relatively easy, Class 4 is a fair bit more difficult apparently. Let's see what happens. This is on the southern side of Temple Gorge, just walking in. We haven't even reached the car park yet. This greets you as you walk up the gorge. Majestic, but nothing stays the same. You can see where there's been a rock slip there. Taking a longer walk up Temple Gorge gets progressively rougher. It's very much boulder strewn. The walks are marked pretty well, fairly predominantly actually. A white disc, the blue disc in the middle, means of course it's a more difficult walk. Some parks I've been in, not this easy to navigate your way. And then you come into a little area where obviously the water flows when it's raining. Really nice. We reach the trail end. This is where the water flows down into this rocky pool below. Unfortunately, it's empty. Hasn't made enough rain. Meanwhile, if we turn around and look straight up, that's what's up there. And looking straight up from the pool, this is what you see. This red rock going straight up to the sky. As we mentioned once before, going in you get one dimension on it, coming out you get another different view altogether. So having completed the most difficult of the two walks, you then turned and came into this one. This is the shorter one. It's described as being short but very picturesque. What you have to remember when you're negotiating the trails is to stop every now and again and look up, because you're too busy looking down while you're walking. Okay, we've now reached the end of this trail. Time to go back. This is only a 600 metre walk, and this is called Honeycomb Gorge. The first thing that strikes you is that there's been some fairly decent chunks of rock fall off this rock face over a period of years. Now we travellers are pretty hard to please. We keep a real close watch on the weather when we're travelling into some of these areas because of the damage that can be done to the roads, and the roads become impassable, and we actually get here. And we walk into these places and we wish there'd been an awful lot more rain. Because although there's water in the pool, it would be gorgeous if it was falling, if the waterfall was running. Amazing stuff. And just look at the way the sandstone has been carved away over the years. Okay, the sun's now gone in, so we've lost our light. Okay, this morning we've chosen to take the walk to the top. Somehow I think we're going to wind up there somewhere. When you're climbing up this thing, it's always good to have an excuse to stop. A couple of little caves. Meanwhile, act like a mountain goat, keep going upwards. There's the track, and it's a goat track. It really is a goat track. Work your way up the hill here. But just stop, take a rest, look around. Just a bit further along. The blue markers tell us which way to go, and we are travelling up what is obviously a watercourse when it's raining. That's where we've come from. Doesn't look too bad from this angle, but yeah, there's a bit of work involved. Boy, we reckon we've got to be getting somewhere close to the top now. And just when you think you must be almost there, oh there, we're still going uphill. These guys have a sick sense of humour. The other gorge, the red thing at the end, this one it says summit 600. However, at this point, we've got the view, and that's where we've come. Geez, you never seem to stop climbing. And then it says summit. Okay, so once you're up here, it looks like anywhere else except you're elevated, but then you turn and look down. Oh, that is a long way down. And that's the one we came up in between to get up to the top here. And is it worth it when you get here? That's where we live. There's the track. And there's the one we came up there. We're going to get back to that, it's a long way away. In the distance, some hills that the locals apparently call the tabletops. And beyond that is another range. That's a fair bit further on. A bit of breeze up here. And this is looking at Draper's Gorge. The range is between 15 and 25 kilometres wide. In the centre there's a lot of sand dunes. There is a road over the top, but it's not accessible to most people. It is hoped that it will be one day. You've got to be like a mountain goat to work in this, to climb this thing. You really do. This morning you're on the top of that hill, and from the top of the hill we could see a lake. Dried up lake, but a lake. That's it. is coming to life. Right near the Kennedy Ranges, the gas line from Dampier to Perth is being built. And here it is, being built. Mount Sandeman Roadhouse, been here since the late 1800s. We're driving up the Illawarra Road, we come to the corner. We turn off to the homestead. The beautiful big sign there saying eggs, $4 a dozen. We just had a disaster with our eggs, so we thought, right, let's go and grab some. A few hundred metres up the road, there we are. Kids are schooled by the school here. Well, they do it in here on the computer. According to the map, this is Mount Sandeman. According to the sign, it's Mount Sandeman. Or is it Mount Sandeman? Bit far to take the sign back to get it fixed, I guess. These roads all run through station country. And when they do a muster, you've got to bring them into the yards to be yarded up. So they can be put on the trucks and taken away. That's what's happening over here on the side of the road. Can't believe these blokes. Normally they take off and fly away. This one, he's sitting there. All the rest are gone, but he's hanging on. Only a few kilometres now from Cobra Homestead. One would assume that this is part of the old original homestead, or alternatively part of the outstations. Wonder about the stories that the old shed could tell, eh? So we've reached the point now where we turn left, and we're 6k from Cobra and just 54 from Mount Augustus. Cobra Station was first established in the late 1800s. It moved to its present site where it was the original wayside inn, catering for thirsty travellers on the mail and wool wagon runs. The lease was purchased by a church organisation who surrendered the liquor licence, leaving the subsequent new owners of the property some challenges in re-obtaining the licence. Over in the distance there's a range of hills as we sort of range across to the right towards the south. That pops out. It's Mount Augustus. It's 31 kilometres away. Western side of it. Mount Augustus, or Burrangurra, as it is known by the local Wajari Aboriginal people, rises 1,106 metres above sea level and it's twice the size of Uluru, that's Ayers Rock. It's one of the most spectacular solitary peaks in the world and it is the world's largest monocline. It rises above a stony red sandplain of arid shrubland and is visible from the air for more than 160 kilometres. The formation is granite. It's about 8 kilometres long, covers an area of 4,795 hectares, and it's estimated to be 1,750 million years old. In July 1866, a drover by the name of E.T. Hurley was droving about 1,940 odd sheep from Northampton up to the Escarpment River. He stayed here for 3 or 4 nights. This is the cattle pool and it's right underneath Mount Augustus. There's a permanent waterway. A bit risky swimming in there because of reeds in the river. The Aborigines have a healthy respect for the place. They have a story with regard to a snake in the river. They won't stay here at night time and they also won't go onto the mount during the night time. There's a 2 kilometre walk called the Corella Trail, which follows along the river. A lot of the birds here are very small, tiny little things. In the western corner there's a trail called the Saddle. It comes in through a natural pound. The hills come around here and back out here and back down towards the road again. And back in the 1850s when they're herding cattle through here, they would push the cattle into this particular area and keep them there for a night or a couple of days, hence the pound. Meanwhile, turning and looking to the northern edge, you're overlooking the plain, the Lyons River, Emu Hill over there. At the end of the trail, you sit on a park bench and just have a look at the area below you, looking towards a number of ranges, including the Gregory Range. And in the summertime, when the rains come, it's not unusual for that area down there to be flooded. We're climbing Edney's Trail at Mount Augustus. And it's a little spring, and this little kangaroo was in there having a little drink. Not a lot of water in there, but obviously enough. Continuing on a little bit further, it's obvious there's plenty of water there, especially for the wild animals. Now, the climb to Edney's Lookout is classified as a class 4, which is a difficult, or relatively difficult, and it's 6 kilometres return, about 3 hours. So far the trail is quite easy, so far. So far the path has been hunky-dory, nice and easy, but now we have a bit of a climb to get up to the next level. And then after that short climb, then we're back onto a reasonable track again. Now as we approach the summit, which is still probably about 20 minutes away, the path does become a climber's path. Not difficult at this point in time, but a climber's path. And not much further on, the path becomes easier once again. This is Edney's Lookout. We're looking from Edney's Lookout, 634 metres above sea level and about 200 metres above the car park. Fair way away. There's another few hundred metres above us. Okay, it's time to start the descent. And on our way. Downhill. "50 kilometres south of Mount Augustus on the Landor Road, there's a nammer hole just off the side of the road. And this is where the Aborigines used to get all their water many years ago. Fresh water in there. And on the rocks are these circles with dots in the middle drawn into it, telling other Aboriginals that this is where there is water to be found. Also there's little holes in the rock here where they used to grind their seeds when they were grinding up their food. Generally with these nammer holes, they contained water long after the rains had gone, and there would normally be springs nearby if these ever did dry up, but normally they were still retained water for drinking. First place we're aiming for today was Landor Station. This is it. Just a few kilometres south of Landor is the Gascoyne River. Most of the year this is what it looks like, but when it does rain and becomes a flood, then it's impossible to get across. Well, it used to be. In the days of the mailmen, when they were doing it with camels and horses and unreliable trucks, they had to get from one side of the river to the other because this was one of the longest mail runs in Australia. So they rigged up this ingenious little device, which is a flying fox, that they put the mail into this drum and then wound it across the river to the other side, just above the flood, where people on the other side would pick it up and move on with it. Or alternatively, it would come back the other way. 29k south of Landor. It's a pleasant little scene on the side of the road. Plenty of water, windmill, cattle holding yards behind us. Looks like a couple of toilets set up there. Obviously a mustering point. Down the road in front of us is what we believe to be Mount Gould, and if that's the case, it's about 25 kilometres away. Now entering the Shire of Meekatharra and the Mount Gould police station, the historical site, the lockup, according to them, is 20 kilometres away. Mount Gould police station and lockup. It was established in 1888. In the 1870s and 1880s, sheep were considered extremely valuable by the farmers out here, and they wouldn't eat them. However, sheep stealing became quite rife, and the Aborigines decided that their land had been taken over and encroached upon by the white man, so they found it was quite okay to come out and nick off the sheep. Pastorals got pretty angry about this, so they got together and had the police station built, and it was manned by 4 policemen and up to 20 trackers. Murari Station nestles on the banks of the Murchison River. The Murchison River is the second longest river in Western Australia. It flows for about 780 kilometres from the southern edge of the Robinson Ranges to the Indian Ocean at Kalbarri. A Google search revealed that on the 12th of February 2004, a monsoon low moved through the eastern Pilbara, Gascoyne and into the goldfields, causing heavy rain along its track. Significant daily falls to 9 a.m. on the 13th included 115 millimetres at Murari. All day long we've been crossing rivers, creeks, waterways, very few of them with anything in them. So it's a real pleasure when you actually go across something and find water in it. Now, I have no idea what the name of this creek is. It didn't look like there was too much water in that one. Then we turned and looked the other way, and it's a delightful little water course. The station we're on at the moment is Blowholes Station. What we're on here is a stock route, an original stock route. The station was owned at one point in time by Ernest Lastia. As the years went on and gold became the thing that most people were after, people started selling their stations up. Ernest Lastia bought a number of these stations and in 1947 was knighted. not to be confused with his son Sir Ernest Henry Lister, who was the Lord Mayor of Perth from 1972 to 1978. Sir Ernest Augustus Lister was married to Bridget Yelverton O'Connor, who was the youngest daughter of C.Y. O'Connor and was prominent in her own right as Commissioner of Girl Guides in Western Australia for about 17 years. Both Sir Ernests served as chairman of the Western Australian Turf Club. Meekatharra is located 764 kilometres northeast of Perth. It's reached by the Great Northern Highway and it's the centre for sheep and cattle transshipment, initially by rail but now by road trains. It's a former gold rush town. It was first settled in 1894 and then in 1896 prospectors Meehan, Porter and Sowich discovered gold. A lot of miners moved into the new settlement from other East Murchison fields, and the mining grew rapidly in scale and sophistication. However, the success on the Meekatharra field was short-lived, and it was only because of a second gold discovery that occurred in 1899 that the town survived. In 1901, the Meekatharra State Battery began operation. By Christmas Day 1903, the township had been officially gazetted. The remains of the State Battery are now on display in the town centre. In the 1980s, Meekatharra underwent a significant gold rush. There was a mining boom at that time, and the mining continued until early 2005 at St Barbara Mine's Bluebird open pit mine. An exploration has recently restarted in